Hi, in this video we're going to go over how to create a layout with two unequal columns. As you can see in the middle of your screen, column 1 is a little bit smaller, or actually significantly smaller than column 2. So in this video I'm going to show you how to do the basic structure of this, but also how to adjust that. So this is set up right now as like a 25% in column 1, 75% in column 2. I will show you how to change those numbers accordingly if you would like to change them. Throughout this video, I will be going through both a slideshow as well as making an example website alongside my explanation. So this way you can see it not only as screenshots, but actually like live action and seeing it go through. At different parts in the video, I'm actually going to tell you to pause it and then make sure that you are caught up. This is like my 7th or 8th video of doing this, so I'm doing it fairly quickly, but I will tell you to pause, make sure your screen looks like mine. Pause, make sure your screen looks like mine. The only thing is you're going to want to make sure that your screen is going along with your storyboard. So mine's going to follow mine. So when I write like COVID quarantine in my header, instead you should write whatever is in your header. So make sure that you are doing it for your website and not just copying the website that I am building. So the structure should be the same, content should be different. So step 1 is to make a new glitch and to rename it. So to make a new glitch, you're going to go to glitch.com. You're going to make sure that you are signing in with your CPS Google email. And then you're going to click on new project. Once you click on new project, it's going to open up a new project and you're going to rename it. Please rename it last name dash final dash project. For some of you that have a very common last name, it's probably going to be taken. And if that's the case, simply add like a 1 or 2 at the end or whatever number you want, or you could add your initial at the very beginning. But make sure that it's named in some way, because as you're going to see when I pull up Glitch, it gives very random names. So just kidding. If I look at all of my different projects, it's going to give me very random names. Just start a new project and we see that random one. You're going to click on Hello Web Page because that's what we've been working with is HTML and CSS to make those new web pages. This is that example of that very random name. So ballistic subsequent skunk doesn't make sense. I also, if I was to look at all of my projects, I don't know what this one's about. So Taylor, final project, and it says, oh, there it goes. I spelled project wrong. Taylor final project. If it gives you that red thing again where it says like this name's already been taken, add a number or another letter to make sure that it's a unique name. It's also up here that you're going to change your name at any point in time. If it says like, it gives you that security issue saying that it cannot access your website, just change the name and it should reload. It's a weird glitch that this website has. So step 1, pause if you need to. You're going to create a new glitch and rename it. All right, step 2, we're going to prepare our index. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to collapse our head section by pressing the down arrow. So if you go to line 3 in your index, you're going to see this little down arrow. And when you click on it, what it does is it hides everything in your head section into one line. And the reason that we're doing that is to avoid making any mistakes in the head section, because right now we're going to be mainly working with the body. So it cleans it up a little bit. It also prevents us from adding anything in there or making any mistakes in the head section. And then step 2 is to erase all of the code below the head section. I'm going to actually move me over here. We're going to erase all of the code in the head section. So, I'm sorry, all of the code below the head section. So from line 15, including line 15, so including that opening body tag, I'm going to erase everything going down. So follow along. Index. So pressing that down arrow right here. And you see that my head section now goes up to one line. And I'm going to erase the body. I'm also going to click show next to the code so that way I can keep track of what I'm doing. So that is step 2. Pause if you need to pause here. When you are done, your web page should look like this. All right, going on to step 3. So step 3 is to copy and paste the HTML code from the layout template. I keep forgetting to keep that part in there. Or to simplify it, you can just copy it right from this slideshow, which I've added to the Google Classroom post as well. So I'm going to come over and I'm just going to paste it in. So again, right now it doesn't look like anything. All we've done is given structure and content. We haven't added any of the styling choices yet, and that's actually going to be our next step when we paste things into style CSS. So pause here if you need to, copy it over, make sure that you are pasting it below that head section. Okay. Once you have that pasted, you're going to go into the next one, and you are going to copy all of the style CSS. So remember that CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. This is where all of your styling choices on how you want the website to look will be made. So when I paste it in there, you're going to see that over here, it changes. So now we have a very defined header section that's a different color. We have our navigation bar. It does not have the columns there yet because there's nothing in the columns to be displayed. So we'll change that here in a minute. One thing that I would like to note is I would like you to look at lines 47 to 54-ish on your page, depending on if you left a blank line or not. You will see where it has period left and then the curly brace, width, colon, 25%. You see that exact same thing for right, but the width is 75%. And what this is doing is it's setting the column widths. So you can change these if you want. So maybe instead of wanting like 25% and 75%, maybe you want 35 and 65. You can change these to be whatever you want it to be. Just make sure that it always equals 100% because you don't want to leave part of your screen blank. So I'm going to go ahead and change it just to 30% and 70%. Again, you can change those as much as you want. Just make sure that between the two of them, they equal 100%. So this also means that if you wanted to make like your left side, the big one, and your right side, the small one, that's okay. You can do that as well. All right, let's see what the next step is. Again, it should look like this, making sure that you're pasting it into that style CSS. So the next step is we're going to add our new pages. So to add a new page, it's the same way that we've been adding new pages. You're going to click on New File, and then you're going to type in the file name that you want it to be. Make sure that you're naming the pages something that makes sense to your website. Don't just put page 2 or page 3. That's not specific enough, and later on, you're going to have to like read through and double check that you're on the right page. So for instance, mine, again, is about how I'm spending my time during this quarantine. I have school, occupying my time, and feelings and experiences. So the occupying my time is going to be my index, and then my other two are going to be about school and my experiences. So that's what I'm going to name them. Pay attention as you are naming them as far as spelling and capitalization is concerned, because it needs to be exactly the same in your files as it is in your code. Otherwise, it's going to be not found. And then the last thing is making sure that they end in period.html. Remember that that is the file type. So when clicking on that link, the browser needs to know what type of file it is opening. So if you have that file type messed up, you're going to have like a not found or an error code. So let's add our files. So like I said before, one of them is going to be about school. So school.html. And I'm going to add another one called experiences.html. So take note that I am making it plural, which means that later I do have to make sure it matches that in my navigation bar. So pause here if you need to, and add your second and third page. All right, the next thing after you have added your new pictures is we are going to add a header. So what we're going to really do with this website is that we're going to work at the top and we're going to work down, and then we're going to work from the left to the right. So at the very top of our website is that header section. So we're going to make that first. You really want to make sure that your header is consistent. And what I mean by that is it stays relatively the same on each page. So again, right now, do not worry about how you're styling it yet. Let's get that content and structure in there, and then you can later change like the colors and the backgrounds and things like that. And there will be another tutorial for that. So the main thing about my website is the main thing is COVID quarantine is what I'm naming it. So for you guys, go to lines like 16 or 17, you should be able to see a couple of different things. One, you should see where it says div class equals header in quotation marks, and that's where I had the header at originally. I'm having such issues typing today. All right, so then we have occupying, that's not occupying, occupying my time. So look at line 17 real quick. So above where it says div class equals header. What this is this is a code comment. And what a code comment does is allows one for easy collaboration. If you're working with multiple people, you can leave notes in your code, and then that way it's easy to see like what you've been working on or what the function of a specific thing is. So if you look here, it says anything between the following div class tags will be displayed in the header section. So that tells me everything between, and when I click on the div, it tells me here's the opening tag, here's the closing. It's saying everything between those two tags is going to show up in that header section. So that means if you wanted to add pictures to your header section or do any type of special formatting, you're going to want to make sure it's between those. If it's a styling choice or a styling formatting, you're going to do that in your style CSS and wait for that styling video to do so. So here I have my main title. I have here my subtitle. Pause here if you need to, and make sure that you have that header section where you want it to be, because here in a few moments we are going to copy it over to the other pages. So again, here, don't worry about styling, but it tells you, like it points out where the different things are. All right, step 7, we are going to fix our navigation bar, which means that we are going to make sure that the links are working and that we've put the links in. So I'm going to scroll down to where it has the div class below is for the top navigation bar. So for me, it's about line 26. So div class equals top nav, and then I have my a space href equals. So I have where I can put in my links and then change them. So remember, what goes between the quotation marks is the exact file name of the page, which that means that should exactly match the files that you have over to the left. How you want the link to be displayed goes between the opening A tag and the closing A tag. So coming back over here, my very first one again is index, and you want to make sure that you are typing within those quotation marks. Oh, index.html. Whatever goes between is what's going to be displayed on the website. So occupying my time. My second web page is going to be about school. So school.html. Instead of just putting school, I want it to like catch my audience's attention a little bit more. So maybe I'm going to do changes in teaching. And then my third website is going to be experiences. And this is going to be called feelings and experiences. So notice here, once it loads here in a second, you'll see here that it's actually going down. And the only reason that it's going down like this in my preview is because it's such a small frame that it automatically goes down. However, if I viewed it in a new window, you're going to see that it goes across like the navigation bars that we've been working with so far. So pause here. Make sure that your navigation bar is done. So making sure that in quotation marks, you have like that index.html, whatever you named it .html, whatever you want to be displayed is going between the tags. If you noticed, we did not use the class equals active, and that class equals active is what changes the color of the current page. So like here, you would assume that we were on the home page because the home is green. I didn't put that into the template. If you would like to use it, you can go back to your About Me page and copy it, or you could go to W3 Schools and copy it off of there. The one thing you need to make sure though is that you change it to the correct line of code for each page. So that means when you're on, say, like the news page in this example, the class equals active is in that news tab. If you would like to do the class equals active and you're not 100% sure, just shoot me an email and I can make you a little tutorial on how to add it specifically to your website. All right, so next we are going to copy and paste our code into our second and third pages because now we have the basic structure, we can add it over. So I'm going to go over, I'm going to hit Control A. Control A is select all, Control C will copy, and then I'm going to paste it into my other two. So pause right here if you need to make sure that you have your code copied over to your other two pages. All right, so step 9, we're going to change the title tags and the subtitles for each page. So I did say earlier that COVID quarantine was the title of my website. That is true, but it's not actually what I'm talking about as far as like title as far as the tags are concerned. So remember that those tags are what's displayed up in the website. And a lot of times it's going to be the same thing that's displayed in that header section. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to fix our index first. So I'm going to scroll all the way up to the top and I'm going to decollapse, uncollapse, open the head section back up to where I can see what's in it. So you're going to see in line 4, you have an open title, hello, closed title. I'm going to erase that. And I'm going to change it to what the name of this specific page is, which is Occupying My Time. Notice that when I made that change, it changed up here in this tab as well. It went from hello to Occupying My Time. I do not need to change my subtitle because it's already correct down here in line 21 and it matches here. I'm going to now repeat this process for my other two pages. So I clicked on school. So click on your second page, go up to line 4 and change the title of the page to something different. So again, I'm going to do changes in teaching. And then I'm going to also change the subtitle down here, which is that H2 that I have in my header section. Notice here that you're not going to see it immediately because anytime that you're making a change in your code, it's going to automatically refresh back to your index. So although that I'm working on a different page, it's not going to show until I click on it. So when I click on changes in teaching, then I can see it. So let's now go to experiences and do the same process. Note that I'm not going to type in feelings and experiences all the way across in that title because you only have so much space in that tab. So instead, I'm just going to type in experiences. And we'll see here in a moment that that's going to fit that tab very nicely. However, I am going to change down here that subtitle from Occupying My Time to feelings and experiences. So now let's look at this in the new window. It's very smart that as you are coding that you are making sure that it works step by step all the way throughout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check to make sure that my links are working, and I'm going to double check that like the tab is matching like the subtitles, that each thing makes sense for that page. So I'm going to start by clicking on my Occupying My Time, and it takes me up to my index.html, which you can see up here in the URL. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to click on Changes in Teaching. I can see that it changed here and it also changed in my tab, which means that that's working. And then feelings and experiences. All right, so it says not found, which means that I have a mistake in my code. I have a mistake somewhere in that line to where it's not finding the specific file that I'm looking for. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to start with my index and I'm going to go down to my navigation bar and I'm going to look specifically at that line. So I can see that I spelled experiences wrong. It does not match exactly what I have over on the left. So I'm going to change it. So I now matches perfectly. I'm going to go back over, check to see if it works. It now works. And now I'm going to make sure that I change it on my other two pages as well. So that way I know that my navigation bar is working on all three pages. This is very important to do when you are coding, especially for assignments like this, because I will be going through making sure that the navigation bar works between all three of them. But also, I can't actually see what your page looks like if I can't click on a link to get to it. So I'm going to just click through for a second. All right, they all work. Perfect. We can go on to the next step. Pause here if you need to make sure that your navigation bars are working and you have your title and subtitle. That's all figured out. All right, now we're ready to add content to your website. So looking at this picture, you can see, I'm going to scroll it up for a second. You have two columns. So the way columns work is that there is a row and then you have columns, very similar to a table. So what you can actually do is you can do multiple rows, and I'll show you how to do that at the very end. But what's nice about having unequal columns, or the way that they're specifically named, is it tells you in the line 33, it says div class equals column left, div class equals column right, and 37. It specifically tells you which one you're talking about. You don't have to worry so much about where is this one going. So a couple things I want to know. If you do not want content in a column, meaning you want it to go all the way across, that's perfectly fine. What you're going to do is you're just going to make sure that it's before that div class equals row. The columns are labeled as left and right, which I just went over. So let's play around with this. I'm going to go back over to my index, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going below my top nav. So remember, it's going down in order. So if I want something to go all the way across, and I want it to be centered. So using the center tag is technically a deprecated tag, and it's not proper formatting, but just for the quickness and simplicity of this, I'm going to use it. So I'm going to do an H2 and say, how have I been spending my time? So when I come over here, you're going to see that it's very much right here in the center. All right, so we have div class row. So this is starting the row. And then we have our left column and our right column. So in my left column, in my storyboard, I'm going to have pictures. So I'm going to add a picture real quick. Image source equals. And so I read Woman in the Window that very first week of quarantine. So I'm going to add a picture of that cover. Put it in there. I'm going to make sure that I go outside the quotation mark. And again, there's going to be videos. There are videos to show you how to do pictures and things like that. They're already in my YouTube playlist. Sorry, had a moment. So there's my picture. And you'll see over here that it's specifically over here all the way to the left. So now I'm going to add information to my right column. So again, it says content between these tags will be displayed on the right. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And I'm actually going to copy this from a site that I've already done and that I used when making the tutorials. It's going to scroll down just a little bit and copy this. I'm going to paste it in there. So again, you're just adding whatever writing or content you want. So notice over here, it's kind of on top of each other. The reason that is just it's taking what's supposed to be on this big browser and pushing it all together. So it looks a little smudged. So when I come over and look at my one all together, move me back over here, you're going to see I have a column here and a column here. If I wanted to add more things. So maybe I want a week 1 here, week 2, week 3. So instead of just keeping it going and using a ridiculous amount of like line breaks, what I can do is I can create another row. So div class equals row. Within that row, I'm going to add my 2 columns. Div class equals column space left. I'm going to go outside of that column and add my second column. So div class equals column right. And what I can now do is add more things here. So I'm going to add another picture of a book I read. Image source equals quotation marks. And what I did here is I just opened, or I right-clicked on the image and I put open image in new tab. And I was able to get a URL for that tab instead of adding it to my assets, which is an option. So I have here, I set my width to 200 pixels. Make sure that you're setting your width to something. And I'm going to show you in a second a cool thing to do with that. Div class column right. What I'm going to do is add more text to that. And again, I'm going to cheat and copy what I've had already done in another page. And I'm going to paste it in there. So let's look what we have now. So now I have this nice column 1, column 2, and it's kind of keeping it together. So if you are doing columns like that, one thing that I would suggest is adding either a line break or like a horizontal line between the rows, because it's going to do a nice job of breaking it up. The other thing that I want to show you real quick is we really only have set width to pixels. When using a column and having a column set to a certain percentage, what you can also do is you can set the width to a percentage. So instead of saying having 200 pixels, I want my width of this picture to be 90% of that column. And what that does is it sets it to 90%. You can also set this one to 90% as well. The thing that you want to be careful when you're doing that, though, is that they don't overlap. So here, we can clearly see that that's not going to work. Again, making sure that that works. So I'm going to come over here real quick, and I'm going to change this back to 25 and 75 because it worked on my other page. Here we go. So you can kind of see it here. It's a little bit better. So again, you don't have to necessarily set it to a certain percentage. Maybe you want to stick with that pixels. One of the things you should do, though, is try to keep it consistent going all the way down. I mean, you see here that it's a little bit different. Let me see. Yeah, so in this one, it worked a little bit differently, which tells me I changed something between the two. Oh, here. Get rid of this column height. That's what it was. I'm going to erase that out of the CSS real quick. So if you've already copied your CSS, please make sure that you go back and erase that. That was mainly there for me to show you if you wanted to add color, which I'm not doing in this tutorial. All right, you know how to add columns. You know how to add content to your columns. Again, if you need help at all, please make sure that you are emailing me. Look at this beautiful website that's coming together. So remember that you must have 2 pictures on every page and 2 examples of writing and 2 headings. That example of writing can be list or it can be paragraphs. This is it. I'm really looking forward to your guys' websites to see what all you are doing. I hope that this video helps you. If you have any questions at all, please, 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 please make sure that you are emailing me. Look for a video to come out very shortly, either probably not today because I still have more videos to do, probably tomorrow or Friday on that styling. But I hope this helps. I wish you all well.